Today we are going to create a landscape using atmosphere perspective. We're going to start by drawing a simple landscape with lots of layers and distance. Now I'm ready to start adding some paint to my artwork, to this landscape. I have some layers here. I have sky in the background, some distance, and in the foreground I have some items with more interest, some things with some more detail, but not too detailed. They're still relatively simple, but I can just make out some buildings and some trees here in the foreground. I'm going to be using a simple basic palette with just three items here. I have one hue, I have blue, one color, and then I have white, and I also have black. What I'm going to start with is adding a little bit of the blue to the white, and I'm going to make a very light tint of blue. That's going to be the color that is the furthest away. You can see that it doesn't take much to change the white. It just takes a little bit of that blue. Each one of my layers here is going to have a different value, and I'm going to use color. So there's my sky layer. It is the white with a little bit of blue added. Now you can use any color you want. If you want to try orange or green or any other color, you can. I'm just going to use the white and the black as well. So now I'm going to take that same white here that I have on my palette. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it to make it the next value here. Remember, we're trying to create atmosphere perspective here. So what we want to do is create layers that make it appear as though they are farther away. So I'm going to mix more blue in here to create the next layer. I'm going to try to mix it really good so that it's a nice uniform color. A nice uniform tint of blue. Remember, a tint is when we add white to a color. And the next layer will be this slightly darker blue. You want to make sure that there's a difference between the blue, the first color that you made, the first tint, and the second tint. Make sure there's a change. It's the same process for the next layer. I'm going to add a little bit more blue into this mixture of white. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add even more blue to it. There we go. This is my third layer. You can see that there is a difference between the last layer and this layer. You want to be able to see a difference. This is still a tint because it is still the color of your choice plus white. So it's still a tint. There we go. The next layer is just going to be the color that you chose, straight, no mixing. So for this layer, it'll just be blue. That's going to go behind these details here, behind the buildings and those trees. The last layer that you're going to do, in order to make this appear that it has atmosphere perspective, we're going to create a layer here where we actually make a shade of our color. In order to make this color of blue into a shade, we're going to add some black to it. So I'm going to take some black. Now it doesn't take a whole lot of black to change a color. This is a very dark blue. If I were using yellow or orange, I would be very careful to add just a little bit of black at a time because it doesn't take much black to change a color to a shade. So now I'm going to go in and paint in the layers here. I'm going to add this shade to the foreground. All of the houses and the trees are going to be painted with that shade, the color plus black. Distance and some overlapping. Once this dries, if I want to, I can go in there with a little bit of colored pencils or Sharpies to add some more details and interest to the art.